Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a Mike's Positively Technical World video review. Today we're going to have a look at the mighty big boy worx wx841 16 gauge nail gun. It's a nail gun, it's 16 gauge and it's made by worx. There you go, video over. No, you want to know a bit more about it, of course, don't you? And I want to show you about it. So what is it? Well, I'm not going to hold this up. It's actually a little bit heavy, on the heavy side, so we try not to do this all to camera. But it fires these. Now, if I go clickety click, yeah, you see that right there is a 16 gauge 64mm brad. It's got a little tiny T-shank head on it, and it's 1.6mm, not 16 gauge, I think it's 1.6mm, not quite like that. The wonderful American originated gauge system works in a way which I will just recommend you Google it, because if I try and explain it, it's going to make this video about half an hour long. I'm trying to keep it really short, okay? So, while still obviously not avoiding any detail. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to bring you down to the bench so you can have a look at it and I don't have to hold it up and end up with arms twice the size they already are. So let's go have a look at it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, here she is in the flesh. I'm glad I don't have to strong arm it and hold it up to camera for you. So yeah, she's quite hefty, bless her. She weighs about, I think it's about 4 kilos all told, which is quite heavy for one of these, which I'm not going to gloss over in any way, shape or form. She runs on the 20 volt worx PowerShare batteries. I'm not going to put one of these in yet, but I do highly recommend that you use the 4 amp one. Yes, you can get these in 2 amp form. He says, trying to scratch around, trying to find one. That's a 2 amp one. So it's more about when it fires back the pin, if you like, and you suddenly do that on the command of a trigger, it takes up quite a bit of juice, and it really needs the 4 amp batteries, or at least a fully charged, very decent 2 amp one to pull that off. That's all I've really got to say about that. Let's put this to one side for the moment, because we're not going to be really fully focusing on the battery side of it. I want to run some features of it for you whilst it's, if you like, in safe mode. By safe I mean it hasn't got a battery attached and I've got no risk of nailing myself or something equally stupid before we start looking at what it can actually do. So it's got the usual 2 modes. We'll look at that first. There's a switch down here. If you flick it to the right, it's bump mode. By bump mode, there is a safety button on the end here, and basically you pull the trigger, you hold it in, and then every time you do that, this magically pushes a switch somewhere in here that then goes fire. So literally it'll be a case of hold down the trigger, bump and fire, and bump and fire, and bump and fire, and bump and fire. And apparently you can do that, I think it's 80 times a minute, which is pretty phenomenal. That's more than 1 time a second. That's mainly due in part to the fact that it's got a brushless motor inside here that does a lot of the heavy duty work for you. It's pretty amazing. Or obviously I prefer more of a precise application when it comes to me firing of the 16 gauge nails. So I like using it in single mode. That's whereby you go, I want one there, click, bang. It's a little bit slower, but it's a bit more precise. And when you're doing something like this, you need to be a little bit safety conscious. So I do like that fact that you can even do that. If you're obviously mad for it and you're really getting a good rhythm, then you can just go point bang, point bang, point bang, go. Okay, that's perfectly fine. For me, I'm just a little bit more precise. All right. To load the gun, can we call it a gun? Or is YouTube going to have a funky fit at me for that? To load the gun, you simply pull this cocking lever, I suppose, just call it. Let's refer to it in gun terms. Cocking lever back. That opens the breech hole at the bottom. Then you take your 16 gauge brads, and then you slide it down like this. It magically passes by the jaws under there, goes to the bottom. Then you push this orange lever button, I suppose, down whilst having your finger over the back here. Then it's actually got a very cool, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, just here. It's like a tape measure coil spring. It's not a coil spring's like that. It's like a tension spring, like a tape, inside a tape measure that pulls that automatically down. Very, very cool. And then you are ready to go. I say you're ready to go. You can also adjust how much the nail goes into the piece of wood using this roller here. If you roll it this direction, you'll see here that basically this ends up being driven further in, down. Or if you want to go for a slightly more prouder head, maybe you want to finish it off manually with a tap to the hammer to the head just to get it to like hit home, then you can obviously go a bit more above the surface, if you like, a bit raised. Obviously we'll stick that back where it was, somewhere around the middle. That's not too bad. If you get it jammed, everyone hates a jam, especially Michael Jackson for that matter, or Hartley's quite like, I hate, yeah, love a jam. But yeah, all jokes aside, if you get a jam, then if I release this, it's just going to ping up because this is under tension. But you're meant to take the tension off. That'll drop all your rest of your cartridges out, or your brads out the bottom. Then you pull that back, lift that up, and then the firing pin and mechanism, there's liable to be a single brad. It will liably be mangled and sitting somewhere in here, just underneath like that. And then you just use a repair pliers to take the mangled mess out, or if you've got enough sticking out, just remove it by hand. But yeah, these can obviously, if you hit something a little bit too hard, in my experience, if you hit something a bit too hard, then they can easily pop out and then mangle up. But just be sensible about what you're firing it into, and know your substrate or surface or material that you're hammering it into, and you should be perfectly fine. I've got no issues. I have had a couple of jams on it, mainly due to the fact being I was going into hardened concrete. You'll see when I'm doing a framing video that I've actually already recorded because of the wonderful way in which YouTube recording works. I've already recorded using this before I've actually talked about it, so it's not really a proper unboxing, even though the box is behind it. But yeah, yeah, let me go get a piece of wood, and we'll stick a battery in it, stick some brads in it, and you can see it go through some pieces of wood, and then you can. So here we've got a couple of pieces of wood. I'm not going to go too deep in with it because it is going to be a case of, look, here's a nail, there disappears a nail. But I've got a piece of OPP. I'll be going down the cross grain across this piece. And then this is just a standard piece of C24 grade CLS, but this is a nicer piece. It's got a very, very small knot density. We'll fire a knot straight into the knot and see whether or not it goes through. And then we'll just go into the normal fibres. Obviously, this is only a piece of CLS pine. I don't expect it to encounter too much that it's not going to deal with. Maybe it might struggle a little bit, potentially, with a knot, but we'll see. It's more of a challenge to see whether or not it can go through the knot, but I don't really think it's going to have to play too much issue. Obviously, owing to the length, I'm not going to try and do it that direction because it will go straight through. I might put two pieces together in a second and just show how it fastens two pieces of wood together and see how strong it is. Okay, a little bit congested with some wood here. Let's try the pine first. We'll put the battery in. We've already got the button, if you like, to the top, but just for more for show and tell sort of purposes, we just put your finger on that, pull it back, it automatically locks at the top here. Brads down, button falls down, happy days. Batteries in, let's get going with the vertical pine, shall we? And of course, we're going to be very careful because this may pop out the sides. There is always that opportunity. A brad will only go where the least force or resistance goes. It's quite a poor angle, I do apologise, but I'm sure you can still see. And I'm going to do the good old pull trigger. Bada bing. All that dust coming off of it as well. No issues. Bada bing. Yes, it works. Bump mode. See how quick we can get it to fire. Just going to hold the trigger and place it down. I hope this camera angle is going to be good enough for you. If it's not, I do apologise, but let's go for it. That flashing of the light, by the way, is if you leave it in bump mode, or any mode for that matter, and pull the trigger for too long, it actually deactivates, which is a bit of a safety feature. I'll go through that in a second. But for now, let's go bump mode, go. Ooh. Something tells me I probably should have put that in a vise beforehand, but certainly if you don't put it in the same hole where you've already got a nail, it drives it right the way home. All of these are pretty flush with the top. Make up your own mind on that. There's a couple there whereby they hit the previous nails. Trying to put 2 nails in one hole isn't a good idea. It doesn't really work. And the bump factor obviously works quite well as well. It is also worth noting, as I did say about the safety feature stuff, you see why I wasn't holding it on the side. It went straight through the side there. Probably hit the other nail, deflected out, or if not, the grain of wood took its path of least resistance, which is why I didn't want my hand anywhere near that, okay? So yeah, please don't fire through it and hold it like that, and then fire it like that. Accidents can and will happen. And that's how they happen, is by not being smart enough to realise that something like that can happen. If I had my finger there, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see that would have skewered straight the way through my finger. And you would have thought with 64mm, yeah, it could, but the chances of it coming out the side are quite little. And it was all the way over there, it's about nearly 1/4 of an inch in. Like I said, they take the path of least resistance. Be careful. And don't come crying to me when you end up with a brad through your finger and attach your piece of work. It will probably hurt a lot. I did also say I was going to go through that knot. Let's just have a quick look and see what happens. I'll line it up nice and straight. So you can do this. Bang! Bounced a bit, bless it. And it didn't go quite all the way through. So let's try hitting it as far home as it will go. Because I didn't have it quite raised. I'm going to hold it at this end, then I'm going to try and get it to fire through this end and see whether or not it goes in. See whether or not it can go in a little bit deeper on this one. Yeah, look at that. All the way through. So yeah, it can be quite powerful when needed, especially if you put the right settings on. But that's obviously soft wood. We all know we can do soft wood. I suppose I better do a quick how tough it is as well test. So let's just do this piece of wood to that piece of wood. Actually, I'm going to use this piece, just so that way I've got a bit of lever to potentially try and pull it off and then see how firm it attaches. Let me just use my check nail to make sure I'm not going to staple it to the bench. Hopefully not. Right, 2 pieces of, this is only C16 to C24, so see what it does. One, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you can do it. It's pretty damn firm in there, to be honest. That was quite a struggle to get it out. That's just 4 nails, and obviously I'm exactly the smallest person in the world, so I've got a little bit of brute strength, but did put out quite a bit of resistance to start with before it actually gave way. Pretty sure obviously in standard use most things will easily hold in place with that. It's only got grippers, if you like, I don't know what the technical term is, like rifle shank pieces just there where it grips into the wood at the very top there. It's the same with the 18 gauge nails. So that out of the way and done with, let's try it on a bit of OPP. Really could do with a clamp on this if I'm honest, but modify a little bit there. Let's see when it goes through. That's one of the toughest woods in the world for a reason. No, it didn't really. It kind of bent at the top. It might have been because I was being a little bit haphazard with the angles and stuff. Let's see whether or not I can attach it to this going through. It's not cross grain, but let's have a look. It does go straight through, that piece at least. It didn't go through the end grain. Like I said, that might have been due to me, that might have been due to the machine. No idea really way of telling. Let's see or not if I stabilise it a bit better, so we can give it a bit of a second shot of going straight down. You can't really see that, but trust me, it's about to go and we'll see whether it makes its way through. No, it didn't, it fell off. It actually split it. No, it didn't. it still didn't go right the way through. So it hasn't got enough oomph behind it. Probably, I'll be honest with you, if I just held it in a clamp, it might actually be able to go all the way through. I think it's because it more kind of pushed it and then pushes it away. I suppose you're going to want to know. Let me just try and find a clamp. Give me 2 seconds. Right, I have just managed to get it to behave itself for at least one shot. So as you can see just there, it did actually make it all the way through the piece of OPP. The first shot I made came out the side there. OPP is actually quite bad at cracking, especially this piece, which had been air dry for about 20 odd years. Yeah, the end grain does crack, but as you can see there, it does have a few shakes to potentially go through, but on the whole that piece is absolutely solid, and it has gone through on the second shot, and it's flush there, just, I might add. But OPP is extremely hard. It's not quite as hard as my piece of green Hardwood, which I've got no idea where it is, so I won't be using it today, but I do have that featured in the chainsaw videos. No idea where it is. He says looking around trying to find it. It's around here somewhere. It's not like I can easily lose it, it's quite a big lump. But yeah, overall it can drive in nails. As you're about to see in this pre-recorded piece of video, Music Maestro please, you can see here that it fires through my framing quite easily, and that's actually going into a cinder block concrete wall behind, and it is actually able to drive it in without bending them, and it fixed it in place extremely well. Especially obviously it had a bit of glue behind it as well, driving those nails in just to fix it in place if you like, and it drove through both of those perfectly fine.
Stop. Go.
So the mastic in place. Let's get it to the front. Nice and solid, ready for the glue to set. Fantastic.
You need one in the middle.
Oh, I'll do one in the middle. Bada bang. So in this clip I'm just using the bump mode just to rapid fire 3 shots into each of the Aris rail with some 5-inch feather edge. That's really all there is to say about it. It's an extremely capable machine. It does also have a safety feature which I do want to talk about because it talks to you, this machine, it really does. So if you're using it in bump mode, so across there, and you hold the trigger in for more than 5 seconds, the lights will start to flash. You see that? No, of course you can't. You see that? See the 5, 6, 7, 8 flashes? However many that was. That should mean that it now doesn't operate in bump mode. I was going to be stupid and stick my hand there. I'll be honest with you, yeah, no. I don't want to nail my hand and spend the night in A&E just to prove something on a YouTube video. I know some YouTubers out there would, not me. Sorry, I've got too much self-preservation. I'm sure you guys wouldn't want to turn around and see me be stupid like that on camera. I'm sure some of you out there would, but sorry, I'm not going to give it to you. Feel free to unsubscribe if you don't like that. So yeah, you can still use it obviously in bump mode. Just got to make sure that from the time the trigger is pressed, I think it also works with the safety catch as well. We'll just have a look here. If the bump stop, yeah, there you go. It's going to have the 8 lights saying no can do. It's really just there, so just in case you put it down anywhere and you accidentally jam in the safety feature, after obviously your 5 seconds is up and somebody comes over and goes, oh, I wonder what this is. Will it happen to when you pull the trigger? It shouldn't in theory fire, he says. No. It won't. So yeah, it's the lights should actually flash because I think the safety wasn't fully pulled in. So this at the moment would fire if live. and then those light splash. It's a very cool safety feature. I don't know if other models have it, to be honest, especially not 16 gauge. I haven't had much experience with a nailer. It's only due to the fact being that I sat and thought, do you know what, I've got some fencing to do, some feather edge fencing. A nailer would be damn sight quicker than screwing. So yeah, I got myself a nail gun. What do I think about the worx wx841? It's an extremely capable, if not slightly heavy, nail gun. It's very capable. It takes everything down to 25 millimeter long 25 mil 16 gauge nails as the smallest, and it goes right up to 64 mil, and there are some very interesting oddball sizes in between. Obviously you can look out for themselves in your own market, in your own countries. Obviously the nails which I've been using today, or the brads rather, are DeWalt ones. You can also use Tackwise ones, but yeah, realistically it's a very good product, if not a slightly weighty, I do think. I do think with the battery on, it does somehow, though you're adding weight, it makes it more balanced in the hands, so therefore it actually makes it more bearable, whereas without the battery it's very top heavy, and that's almost there to counterbalance it. Makes it a lot more comfy to hold in the hand, and actually somehow makes it lighter even though you're adding more weight to it. Go figure how that works. So yeah, there you have it guys, the worx wx841. Have you got one of these? Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I'm also willing to obviously answer any questions that you may have about it. It does come out of the box completely ready assembled, ready to go like that. And also, if heaven forbid you ever wear out the little safety button on the side, you do have a spare one down here. Other than that, you'd also have a belt hook on the side of it. I think it's a little bit heavy for a belt hook personally myself, but it could be good if you're up a ladder or something like that to attach it to something like a fence or something like that whilst you're prepping or messing around with something else. So yeah, that's what I think about it. As I said, let me know in the comments what you think about it, and I shall see you again in the next video. Take it easy. Bye for now. And I've never looked back since, to be honest, and absolutely love the damn things. Before that, I was very much a screw it kind of guy. So yeah, what do I think about the worx WG? So what do I think about the worx wx641? Or was it 841? It's 841.